Well, it is Monday, the start of a brand new week. It's Moon Day, honoring the moon and the moon goddess. And let's grab some Palo Santo to get the show fully started. Alrighty. And when I say smoke them if you got them, I'm referring to incense. That's my preference. So, Dragon's Blood, Champa, Palo Santo, whatever lifts your spirits. I'm going to have to get a charcoal block. I miss my copal. And so, waiting for people to pop in. I hope everybody is doing well across the country with this weather. And there's Pam. Hi, Pamela. Good to see you, my dear. I've been getting in touch with some of my peeps in different parts of the world here. And some people are doing okay. Others are expecting to have power outages. So just lots of prayers and good juju out to everybody. And again, if you don't have to go out, stay in. Perfect time for sitting down and playing board games and connecting with your loved ones, your fur babies. And hello, Sandy, how are you this evening, sir? Our friend over the pond in Devonshire, if I remember correctly. So give it a few more minutes. And today's show is kind of coming off of Saturday night's energy and discussion. For those who don't know, I went live Saturday night to have a conversation about everything that's going on in the world, in our country, in our personal lives. I had just seen so many people privately messaging me, expressing their anger, their grief, their sense of feeling hopeless and helpless amongst things and going on, of course, in our country, and then trying to have to maintain, our personal lives, taking care of those in our family, in our community. And so I had opened up the floor Saturday night. And so this energy is still kind of going with me right now. And that's why I kind of felt like let's looking at, battle, goddesses that are associated with battle, with war, like, Namorigna, Namorigna. We all know Athena, we all know Durga, Kali, to name a few. So I think this is going to be a topic that might bridge out for the next couple of weeks or on and off, because I noticed as I was starting to write notes and kind of taking in what I was getting, I feel from spirit, my guides, and my higher self, what we consider a battlefield. Doesn't necessarily mean the one, that's fought off in a country, far off country. Although the men and women who are in our, military, and those who are in other countries' military that, have to face the daily reality of the I can't think of it, the ultimate, sacrifice that has to be made. And so we sometimes tend to forget that, we have battles that go on in our own lives, in our physical state, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual takes a big hit too. So I'll give it again a few minutes. It says I have one person, which is kind of weird how StreamYard and YouTube are jamming here together. So first off, Masasabu, Battlefield, let me settle up and grab my matches. Let's ride. Yep. We ride at dawn. Well, right now we ride at afternoon. But yeah, and of course, the first thing, me being with music, love is a battlefield, and it can very much be so, depending on what aspects that you're looking at. So I'll give it a few more minutes for peeps to pop in, because I have all sorts of different notes jotted down here, and then I'll be opening the floor for readings. And I designed, or kind of came to me for card pulls today. Where do I need to make a stand, in my life? Or where do I need to make a stand? When do I need to stand down? And then we'll be getting a goddess card, for gods that we can connect to help us with that. So, again, the chat might be very quiet today because of this crazy ice storm and snowstorm that is hitting pretty much 3/4 of our country right now. Us hopefully will get some moisture tomorrow. We've had a drought, kind of pretty much like a drought here for a couple weeks. So it shows I have 3. So I think I'm going to get started, and any comments or insights that want to be shared in chat, please feel free to do so. You know how we roll here, as long as everything's respectful. And and Sandy says, yes, Devin, a lot of rain. Jackie from Jackie's Crystal Moon was mentioning that you guys are supposed to be getting something called the Beast from the East once it's done here with us in North America. So safe weather and safety and everything for everybody. So I am just going to get started. It says I have 3 people in chat. So, alrighty. The battlefield. Now with my thumbnail, I showed different ways that, we can pick up, and I love the image of the woman with her indigo cloak and carrying her sword. And it doesn't necessarily mean, of course, swords where, I'm inciting any sort of violence. This is like picking up a sword of truth, thinking like the Justice card when holding the sword of truth and seeking fairness and balance and equality. And, back in the day, our ancestors, that was their daily reality, was having to live in battles where, people died horrible deaths on the battlefield. A lot of times men and women, in certain cultures fought together as well. And so now that we're in modern times, even though, a lot really hasn't changed with our evolution, with our military and combat and war mentality, we can still take and look at what our ancestors went through, lean on them, reach out to them in times like today for that strength and that fortitude to help us forward. And, the battlefield, again, doesn't have to take, place just on the ground or in a physical sense of battling someone. We ourselves, oh, hello, Hannah. So we have Hannah from Germany. Guten Abend, my dear. Thank you. I know it's late, so I appreciate you popping in. I was thinking maybe changing the time for the Sacred Feminine, seeing that Nancy's going to be taking a break for quite some time from, the show. So I might make it a little earlier so I can fit some more time zones. So yeah, thank you for being here, my dear. So just again, thoughts and words and things that, and something that I immediately wrote down. Mein Lieb. I probably didn't even pronounce that right. Sorry, German family ancestors. I'm trying to learn. Or mind, instead of mean, it's mind. Mein Lieb, I believe. So, some things again that I wrote down that I wanted to share. Battles are fought, waged, and lost, and sometimes won, but at what cost? Not all battlefields are forged upon solid ground in a far off country. They can become the very ground we stand on within the fields of our physical bodies. We fight in our hearts, our souls, our minds, and our battle cries can be tears we shed. We shed like on clothes tightly that cling tightly to our emotions and conceals the scars from our own eyes, for filling no feeling, naked and exposed, daring to show willing, the bravery willing to share our stories to compact, or her stories to compact the diseases that plague our world. Means love. Ah, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Um, and strife taking place, waging wars within ourselves. So again, the battlefield isn't always, what's on the ground. And I know for me, I can speak for myself personally that there are a lot more battles going on in me now because of what is going on in the world, especially in our country. And there are times when we're like, well, how can we fight? How can we, there's a lot of us who can't be on front lines. And again, this is where it shows that, that battle can be a double edged sword. Sometimes we have to make a stand, and then there are times we need to stand down, like the Five of Swords. Um, Knowing when to choose battles within our personal lives as well. And some people tend to forget that, and some of us don't even realize the physical battles that we deal with on a daily basis when it comes to either autoimmune, osteoarthritis, inflammation, all sorts of, things that we may even inherit genetically from our ancestors, and then compounding that, the mental battles that we have, times of when we doubt ourselves, or we hear words that are hurtful, that sometimes we reinforce. And one of the things I had written down, and I'm trying to find it, is that, okay, often we are the ones who deliver the final blow to ourselves. What we see on the news, what people say to us, things that, are not true, but yet we sometimes tend to, sometimes the energy makes us feel like we have to, fall, on our swords. And this is where, having, and of course, I'm going to insert right here, entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed practitioner counselor, but I am a peer. And so I do recommend, for if, um, things get so mentally difficult, where any thoughts of harm to oneself or others, especially with everything that we're experiencing right now, be sure to seek a professional. I'm, working towards peer certification, so I can talk from a place of personal experience and traumas. And so, um, our battlefield for a lot of us are on all levels, our emotional ones too, that we find ourselves in. I mean, this is a huge, huge topic that I feel like I'm going to break down into other shows. And I didn't want this show to come across as feeling, heavy or negative. It's just actually to be empowering, to realize that we can pick up our sword, so to speak, and we can make a difference in our lives and the lives of people in our community. For those of us who feel hopeless or helpless to be able to do anything on the front lines to combat what's going on, We have that power. We have our light workers, our healers. We have people who are our poets, our artists, you know, writing, expressing, journaling, making art. These are things that are of the creator, the creatrix, Mother God and Father God, if you will, the universe, great spirit. And so when we pick up that pen, like the old saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. So again, we can find ways of writing, um, putting our thoughts out there, speaking our truths, and of course, with filter and with grace, but not being afraid of expressing who we are. And a lot of that can start here. I've been on YouTube for 4 years now. Yes, I'm gonna stop right here. Oh, let me just, and I'll share your thoughts, Jax. I've been here for 4 years and I've passed through multiple circles of fellow readers and cliques, if you will. Um, and I have seen over the years that certain um, ways of thinking that are different from others haven't been tolerated as well as they should be. um, when we share our personal experiences or our beliefs, needing to recognize that, we all come from different experiences and that it's okay. And when over the years, certain times when people have kind of, set their sword into a stone and say, no, this is and only is, then that's when we need to take a step back, because not only do we fight battles on physical, mental, and emotional, but all of that can really impact our spiritual. And so finding that inner battle mage, shield maiden, if you will. So these battlefields are based on culture. We're seeing battles being waged, and sometimes it's insidious. Back in our ancestors' time, a lot of it was more black and white. And of course, as the onset of religions took hold, patriarchal religions, um, it was wars were encouraged, in the name of a god. And like one of our fellow YouTubers, Magus, who I absolutely adore, um, he says, who wants to follow a god, a godhead, a spiritual being, a higher power that says it's okay to take, someone's child's own life in their name, or to kill in their name. And so I think that's very profound. And so hopefully at some point we can bring that balance back, where although we can't particularly get rid of all the bad in the world, because there needs to be, a balance, at least in my understanding, my perception. That very well may change as time goes on, because we are evolving. And when it comes to, and this is another point I want to share that Jack said, it was brought up, people are on different dimensions, and the idea, there's kind of like what is truth for us compared to kind of taking a step back and seeing it outside of ourselves. Sometimes when people hear, well, if I'm not at this fifth level, then, I'm not evolving. I'm not, we're all going to be at different stages in our evolution. To ascend, we're also allowed to descend, because there are going to be times when, like Jack said, we have to surf. We're down here, and then we learn something and we rise up, and then we hold that energy for a while, and then something else might come around and challenge something, and we might have to dip back down again and come back up. So an idea of Thinking basically Chutes and Ladders. For those who are old enough as me that remembers that game, I don't know if that game is still around, but so just really again finding that balance, because when we are constantly at battle with ourselves, it tends to reflect that energy out too, and creates that energetic, I don't want to say impulse, energetic wave of or energy of into the world that we need to be, another, perspective also, or another point I should say, is how, especially with this being the sacred feminine, how we, even now in the 21st century, um, women are still raised, not all, there are some families that are raising amazing, independent, free thinking, free spirited women, men and women, or children, excuse me. But there's still others in that mentality, and with social media guiding that, the news, the social media being what it is, and commercialism, we are still, women are still, allowing themselves to be pitted against each other for television, for fame, for jobs. They have to fight for jobs, and it's a mentality of constantly battling each other so that we can attain whatever our dreams and goals are. Where really, in the end, all we need is just to support one another. We can get to those places, those pinnacles in our life, without having to pit ourselves against each other. The body shaming, the, all everything. So, like I said, that's another whole topic, but we can see really with all this, it even opened my eyes how we battle, and we don't even realize, that battle, um, and how we perpetuate it. And something else that stood out to me, seeing that we're talking about divine feminine, sacred feminine, I'd be curious to maybe do a show and see if we can maybe ask Joan of Arc, her energy, her essence, her archetype, if you will, to come to us and talk about her her visions. Because in talking about religion, we have seen where, depending on what patriarchal aspect of Christianity, especially, whether it was Protestant, Catholic, um, you know, she fought because she heard the words of God telling her to fight. So again, that takes us back to, well, what God would tell, you know, people to kill in their name. So this is whole juxtaposition, I don't even know where some of these words are, of different viewpoints and aspects in time and history and in our psyches and our understanding. And I would love to be able to invite her on a show. People can let me know in chat or afterwards in comments or by email if they like, if this is something that they would be interested in, because I would love to find out now, once she had crossed over, what her perspective was of, having to fight. So I'm going to step back down now, but there is also, just really quick, another sacred feminine, and I want to talk about, she actually walked the earth. So she was an earth goddess, an a sacred feminine. They call them masters, but again, the master, the connotation of one being over another. It's just a Heather thing. And it could be maybe shared with other people too. But in the Obsidian Veil deck by Vixen that I have, there is a card, and the woman's name is Amu. Okay, I wrote it down. Amonute. So Amonute. And I didn't realize that, but this is Pocahontas. And I had seen her. The book opened right up to her, and I'm going to do a show on her, and start to review there's some documentaries and things that have come out. So I'm going to be looking into her story and maybe even asking her to share her essence and her messages to us. Um, so yeah, women warriors who had to pick up the sword, had to pick up the bow, the arrow, and having to fight. And what how we can take that into our personal lives and find strength, resiliency. Nine of Wands, the resiliency, being through battle, sometimes missing a limb, whether it's metaphor or it's physical. Um, I think a lot of us at this time are in that Nine of Wands mentality, wanting to, move forward when so much still weighs. But again, we can connect with our higher selves, our spirit team, our ancestors to help us through that. And now I am going to back up and start sharing because sometimes when Heather starts to get an idea, it starts to. So let me back up again. So let's see. Okay, so Jax is here. Hi, Booyah's got home traffic. The storm. Yeah, girl, I can imagine. Yep, smack that sassy. Smack it real good. So, alrighty, yes. So here we go. There are no bonus points for suffering. Work smart, not hard. And sometimes we get into these lulls where we feel like the only thing we get when we see when we dim our lights or our lights feel like they're getting dimmed, that sometimes we will self-sabotage ourselves, kind of like that, Eight of Swords, being bound, being blinded, but yet we can easily remove ourselves from that situation. Not easily, I'm going to take that back. We can take off the blinds and the binds and still stand there at that tree or wherever and look through those swords. And we know that we can move through them. But we have to have the courage to and the faith in ourselves to be able to do that. And sometimes there will be others who, especially with trauma, something what Kristen Louise had shared before, that sometimes, when we say, no one can love us unless we love ourselves, that's not true. People can love us, and they're a part of our support team, our cheerleaders, so to speak, that gather around us, and be able to help us or hold space for us to be able to move through those Eight of Swords. Get it, girl? Let your soul lead the way. It knows the way. But sometimes, our soul gets so torn apart because of, what we see, how we have to manage our relationships. And those relationships during the day may be, not the same beliefs as we are, and trying to be able to balance and handle everybody and their opinions and their experiences, their traumas, their achievements. I know trauma gets tossed around a lot without acknowledging the achievements. To be able to acknowledge trauma and to be working towards that, that's empowerment. That's also achievement. So again, social media can be very used very in a positive manner, but also social media has been used to make it worse, part of the problem and not a part of the solution. I've been there. My favorite morning show, I was told to talk less. It's done. But I get it. Sometimes we fit better in certain places and not at all. It's okay. Girl, you share all you want in my chat. I may not be able to put up every single thing if I get a lot of people in here, but there should be no reason someone to tell you to stop talking. There are times when I will say that I have done certain shows where I'm trying to be very serious and talk about something, and I look off in the chat and it's like, what the, it's, so in those instances, I get it. But I know since you've been in my channel, your commentary has always been one of uplifting, of positivity. And again, acknowledging trauma, but also acknowledging the um, the empowerment, the achievements that come along with that. Let's see. The race is usually in our minds, not always, but sometimes, yeah. So that's what really stuck out to me when I was walking this morning. Often we are the ones who deliver the final blow to ourselves. You know, things that people say, things that we may, not necessarily think about ourselves, but come from whether it is somebody who doesn't even know us, like on social media, or somebody in our lives that, was out of place to say something or thought maybe they were helping. But this is when we kind of take a look at when we're at that point and we sit down, we grab our pen. Again, the pen is mightier than the sword, especially when it comes to personal things for us, for our healing. And we can write down, okay, this was what was said, this what was implied. I need to sit with this. Do I feel any validity to it? Where can I? And then go, okay, you know what? This I do not, like Jackie B would say, this energy here, I do not own that. I will not accept that. That energy is moving on. I will only accept this type of it. So when we sit and work, it can be hard. And I keep circling, but it's called the warrior's path. To be a warrior doesn't mean having to go into physical battle. It could be picking up our mental swords, our writing utensils, our paintbrushes, our crochet hooks, our knitting needles, as long as we don't, you know, and this is just a little lightheartedness, taking those needles and, but whatever it is, picking that up and finding ways to be able to be a part of those lines. It may not be front lines, but the front lines always need the backup lines, if that makes sense. So some days more whack-a-mole. But you know what? That's just got my garters all in a bind, as they used to say, wasn't it? Oh, my garter, my girdle is all in a bunch. That's awful. Shame on them. But again, it's their channel, but there is always a certain way of saying something. And yeah. Hannah, as long as women's blood and therefore women themselves are damned and seen as disgusting, while men's blood is glorified, may it be on the cross or in countless wars, there will be no healing. And that's something as a race we have to strive for. And as much as I can find AI to be very fascinating and can be very helpful to civilization for people with, severe diseases or illnesses or impairments and things, or to inspire people to do art, there I can see that there is going to be some sort of aspect where that may hold us back from being able to develop more on a more loving, conscious level. But you never know. I could very well be wrong. Let's see, what else do we have here? I think we should explore the female hero's journey, how it is different, same. There we go. Master is a patriarchal term. Yes, that's why when I was doing Reiki and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a Reiki master. And then later on, I started going, wait a minute, master. And I had a big 10, 15 year separation from when 2008 was when I started doing the Reiki. And I am not knocking whatsoever anybody who's worked to get their master's degree, but then or certification, but then when you think of master, but we're always learning, so, and I've also seen, in tarot decks and oracle decks, mostly oracle decks, how certain artists or writers will have a goddess and call them a master. Why can't you call them what that they are. They are considered a goddess. Is like we're even trying to, I mean, the intention there, I'm sure, is well meant to be able to get people to understand and learn about goddess energy. But to me, it almost feels like, in my, again, my personal perspective and my feeling, that when, you know, we take away, to fit into some, better into someone else's box or label, we have to realize that, wait a minute, these were seen as gods, goddesses, energies of the land to our ancestors. There is a power there. There's something primitive, powerful, empowering, and to take that label and stick them under like a master label, for me, again, um, you know, it doesn't always sit well with other. But again, there may be somebody else who might have a different perspective, and I would love to hear and get different people's. This is why YouTube can be so. This could be such a powerful platform, is when we're able to come together and be our silly, snarky, objective self. Is that the right word? And, say how it is for us in a respectful manner and a playful manner. Because if you can't laugh at yourself or have fun, then there's something going on with the spirit and the ego, my opinion. So, it's a place of learning. It's a place of sharing. It's a place of growing. Maybe teacher, student instead of master. Mentor, the Hierophant. I don't like traditional, but there have been ones where it's just the show's a spiritual being, and acknowledging, you have the keys. They're mentors. They're our guides. They're here to support us in our development, in our earth walk. I do not need a master. Here you go, girl. The University of Kyoto have found out that there was a female shinobi and samurai. You can't see, you just can't keep them suppressed. She is coming. She is coming back, and we are seeing them. Same thing with some of the Celtic burials. They're finding women buried next to men in their armor, regalia, their jewels, whatever it was, their swords. So I don't even get goosebumps. So there's so much that his story has suppressed. And looking forward to that. And Beth is here. Hi, Beth. I know I'm catching up with chat. Heather's kind of not rambling, but she's got a lot of thoughts today. Heather, how am I liking women? I enjoy it. I'm waiting for a time where certain readings will fit that. Today, I don't know. She might come out. I did bring my Hush tarot, though. Hush wanted to come out, which hasn't in a long time. And I do have a couple decks, so I will get to readings in a second. But yes, so Beth, I wanted to talk about, the metaphor, if you will, of battlefields, that yes, they are being still fought on, men, women, in our militaries, innocents that get caught in between our country's military, yeah. A band I'm going to recommend, L7. Jax, you may know L7. On their Bricks Are Heavy album, there's a song called Wargasm. And they completely call out the militaries around the world in that song. And so does Ani DeFranco in her song Evolve, which is a good song too. AI isn't the problem. People are the problem. Yes. Fix things in society and AI will be put to good use. Exactly. Being able to get people who you never thought they would be able to walk, to move, have use of new limbs. It's just amazing. And that's why it still irks me that after all these years, they still say they haven't found a cure for cancer, but yet we have AI, we have all these clonings and all these other advancements. And it's just, but yeah, that's a different soapbox and road to go down to. But yeah, it's like a tool. Like any tool, it can be used for good and bad. It's how you wield the tool. Exactly. I actually had someone, Jax, that shared that same analogy with me, who was a part of my Reiki class back in the day, when I told her about how I was afraid of wearing my pentacle because of the connotation that was associated with it, and some of people who practice and who wore that would, I'm not saying, this is where I got to be very careful, that in some circles, and this is going to be the same for any religion, because power is power, words have power, intention has power. So that there are, those that were in my community, especially at that time, that wore that I knew they were doing very bad things. And so to her, I was having that dilemma, that dichotomy of, this represents the beautiful elements that make up us in the earth, but at the same time, I'm afraid to wear it because of the negative. And she said, it's a tool, just like anything else. It's a symbol. It will be used for good. It can be used for bad, just like she said, because her daughter had been murdered with a blunt force trauma with a very heavy object. I'm trying to watch triggering words. And she said this item can be used to help build furniture and carpentry and beautiful things. But in someone else's hands, it was used to take my daughter's life. So again, she goes, it's not the tool, it's the intention. So, hello, Miss Nancy. Just woke up from a nap. Staying warm, I hope, my dear. Let's see. Nice. I love naps. Necessary adult peace sessions. Oh my goodness. I love that. Let's see. Beth says universities didn't allow women into them for centuries. So the terms for degrees are patriarchal: bachelor's degree, master's degree. I never thought of that, Beth. I never put the two to two together. Thank you. See, we learn something new every day. I appreciate that to everybody. Let's see, subjective self would be your own perspective, yes, or bias. Thank you. That's what I thought. I guess I'm sometimes confused between the subjective and the objective. And Nancy smacked that sassy. You go, girl. Smack it to infinity and beyond, right? And yes, everybody loves the naps. Jane is here. I'm the Hierophant, seeking the knowledge, the mentorship, having the keys of wisdom. I absolutely love the Hierophant card. It's just the traditional imagery, but I have a few decks that have absolutely beautiful alternative versions of that, and I'm totally down. So, how are you doing, Jane? Are you being affected? Well, you're in Indiana, I believe. I get confused trying to keep account of where everybody is. So, I hope you're safe and staying warm. And oh, better late than never. Ritual is here. What was that? Was that you, Jax, that said that the other night? Adept instead of master. Teacher implies that there needs to be a student. So, but Tom, I see you as a teacher, because you teach me things and have opened my understanding and my eyes to perspectives that used to scare me or concern me. And you showed me and taught me different ways of looking at certain things, especially having to do with the spiritual. So it's very interesting. Words. Everyone's saying hello. Let's see. I figured I needed to come in and mansplain some things to y'all. Oh, splain away. So, Jane, how are you doing, my dear? Not familiar with them, but I'm a big fan of Rage Against the Machine. Oh, L7. So L7 is an all-female. Jay may even know because they were starting to get popularity when not the same type of music as Dave Matthews, but it was in the early 90s. But L7 was or I don't think they're still together, a punk band, metal punk band. And boy, some of those girls, but yeah, they could be very political in some of their music. Kind of, I mean, Pussy Riot is a lot softer. Is softer compared to L7. I mean, but D Placus, oh my God, one of the best drummers ever. I was learning drums when they were becoming popular. So, but yeah, I would check them out. Oops, hi Heather. You're fine, Jane. Let's see, Tom. Hey Jane, Nancy Japp saying hello to everybody. And Tom, I hope you're feeling okay after your your little fender bender. I hope you're feeling better. Hello, Moira. Hello, hello. Hope the fur babies are doing well. How is it not Friday yet? Because it was just Friday, Moira. So speaking of really quick Friday, wonderful show lined up. Gerald Tarot Stash is joining Jonathan and I for one of our live creative, we say painting, but we're calling it creative session because Gerald's going to be working on some sewing textile projects and sharing his work and hanging out with Jonathan and I. I believe Jonathan's working on a special mask. And I will be starting a new painting based on music from the latest Florence and the Machine album. Oh my God. Absolutely fantastic. I believe it's called the Chamber Sessions. So let's see. Heather entitles. You're a groovy. She's groovy. She's feeling groovy. Back in the day when I was in the Monkees, when the Monkees came back and they were showing the TV show, I went out, got my peace. I had my peace symbols, necklace, and I had my tie dye and all that. I got to discover other 60s music, so that was very cool. So yes, ma'am. Already we got a foot of snow. I posted photos. Oh, I'll have to go see. Shan was showing me, and it literally blew my mind that in Russia, the amount of snow, it was like the way the image was, and I'm sure this was actual footage. It showed like there had to have been like 2 stories worth of snow or a story worth of snow. I mean, the walls that they had to carve through from the snow. It was just unbelievable. And yet we've had only a little dusting on the mountains here. Let's see, Moira. Teachers learn things from their students too. Yes, they do. That's why we're always in the process of learning. Let's see, Coldplay is just Dave Matthews for the UK. I like my favorite song by my Coldplay is Clocks. Every time I hear the beginning, I just get shivers. Love that song. Jane, I'm doing great. I'm getting my back injections on Wednesday. I'm ready for it. Woohoo! I could go for a full body massage myself. Oh, I've been doing more walking again, getting some more exercise, and my joints and my inflammation are going, what? My body, what are you doing? So, Kitty. Oh, you saw Kitty? Man, talk about out there. Yeah, girl. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Hello, Shelby. How's it going, my dear? It's an all-star lineup. Yes. So, Tom is sharing. I love it when Tom shares. I love when everybody shares. It's better than Heather doing all the talking. I miss my sidekick on my Mondays. So I had 3 rounds of injections for my back and never helped me. But I know for some it does wonders. Surgery was the only thing that helped me. So yeah, it shows again that we are not all cookie cutter. We are all different. Our bodies are different. Our genetics are different. I'm dying to see Gerald do his thing with fabric. And it was like a year ago that Gerald shared this textile piece he did of Crater Lake. And that's about 2 hours from here. So I can't wait to see Crater Lake. It's an absolutely beautiful, but I recognized, I was like, oh, Wizard Island, Crater Lake. And he's like, yes, it is. I'm like, to me, that was another sign. Yep, we're making it to Oregon. I got injections and the cold weather hit, and it's like it didn't do anything. Oh, God. I've had the same experience, Tom, but this is my lower back. Yeah, people can't touch my lower back, or I'm like, not good. So Shelby has about 2 feet of snow. I got to reach out to Selena because her and her hubby get hit with a lot of, yeah, my favorite monkey. He's the one that's hanging on. And you could just bet that when Mickey does pass, that those other guys are going to be like, come on, dude, get on that drum set. We got to play. It's been forever. Yeah. People say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down. Hey, hey, Dave Head here. And for a little, I know this is totally off subject, off channel, but Davy Jones had to change his name. Davy Jones. So David Jones, David Bowie had to change. I was getting confused there for a second. So David Bowie was actually David Jones. So he ended up having to change names around. But just a little fun fact on how sometimes people have to change their names for. I never liked Kitty, but you saw L7. Oh, Tom, just, But anyway, you're lucky because talk about extreme. Some guy did something at one of their concerts, pissed off. I think it was the lead singer. I can't even think of her name right now, but she literally pulled out her tampon, threw it at the individual. And I was like, ew, that's gross. And then they wrote in the article, what was even gross, someone picked it up and threw it back at her. I mean, you have had to been there in the 90s, man. Stuff like that with Hole and L7 and, all those bands. So let me take that down. Ooh, chicken Alfredo. That sounds delish. I had a thing for Mike, loved his little hat. Aww. Yeah, I saw an interview that he did about a year before he passed away or so on how he admitted that he used to rag on Peter so bad. And you would never know. You could never tell. You saw the last concert you saw with your dad. Oh, wow. All righty. Now we're talking music. Yeah, well, music, sacred feminine, you're tapping into that. Katy Perry is a Hudson, but the actress has the name already. So, so I did not know that. What? Yep. Take that, Kitty. Did Kitty ever do that? Oh, my goodness. You have the photos. Peaches, love her vibe. Oh, Peaches is a naughty girl. But did you know that Peaches did a song with Pink on her her third album? Yep. Naughty song, but it was a sexy song. So I'm at the end of chat. Wow. So we are at 2:54, been on for an hour, but you know what? I am going to still go ahead and put my banner up. I got my window cracked open and someone walked by and they smell good. So let's see. So we're going to be doing this. And for today, my card spreads are, where do I need to make a stand, in my life? When do I need to stand down? And the goddess card to go along with that. And I may even pick something from I also have my tiles here as well. I'm sorry. That wouldn't smell as good as this was here. So, if you're on the East Coast, 555, make a wish. So, So where do I need to make a stand? When do I need to stand down? Or where do I need to stand down? Kind of, but I thought those were very interesting. And then, of course, I'm going to pull the underlying energy and then a goddess card. So the chat is open for reading requests. But no, I am really going to go forward with some of these and just kind of delve into these over the next, I think, few months. They all really resonate, you know. I mean, even looking while waiting for requests, if anybody would like a reading, how Athena, the goddess of, beauty, but of war, ended up, they're writing her mythology to punish Medusa. And if you hear a cat yowling, that kitty was not outside, y'all, from the last time. He's up on his balcony. I think if he hears me talking or something, he starts to meow. But with like the mythology, you can tell that it was rewritten from a male perspective because they made Athena punish Medusa for being assaulted by Zeus when it wasn't her fault at all. So we can see where this constant, yeah, oh, the continuing problems that we have with our with the patriarchal religions, even learning about, non Regna by Morgan, things were rewritten and people are still doing scholars trying to figure out what was male monk interpretation or fear-based interpretation to compare to what, she or her and her sisters truly were. So it's just, it's the claws. The claws are in there, like Kitty. The claws are in there, but we can tear open and let what needs to come up and reveal a farting unicorn in the snow. Only here, folks. Only here. There's also Hera punishing the woman's. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's insidious. It's insidious. So Jax requested one so far. Jax, you are the only one. So let's just get this going. See how this works. Maybe I can whet some other people's appetites with this. Okay. So let's get started. Let's get your Sacred Feminine card. The thing with the Obsidian Veil, which is very interesting, is that they include not only goddesses, but from real women from walks of life, some with even a potentially dark history. Hello, Patricia. Don't blame the man. Typical. Yeah. Oh, I don't know how my penis got there. And yeah, it's women. Same thing that is still being perpetuating today, Women are referred to themselves as whores and hoes and bitches, and I just can't. Yeah. Okay, so what I need to make a stand and the underlying energy. So let's see. Where do I need to make a stand? So you got the Ace of Swords. And how's this come across as where do I need to make a stand? Examining our thoughts. Examining the thoughts of others, seeing where the thoughts of others. This is a card about clarity. And so tapping into that ace when you hear things or things are said to you, or you hear things that might have to do with something that's personal to you, that's connected to you, your family, anything, things that you experience, you hear, tap into that Ace of Swords energy, really tap into that connect with your higher self. So the crown, typically they go through the crown chakra. And look at Jax. Jax, it's a mangled unicorn. Talk about Heather being, a couple steps behind. Girl, this is you on your mangled unicorn. But again, it's the point is that you will know when to make a stand when you have everything that you need, when things are clear to you, when things are communicated clearly to you, when things resonate clearly with you, if that makes sense. You will have clear insight into when it is that you need to stand up for. But look at, Jax, you can't. Oh my God, I'll have to send you a picture of that. You sally forth. So when do I need to stand down, or where do I need to stand down? You got another ace, the Ace of Wands. He makes it look a little funnier on this deck. I don't know why. So the Ace of Wands, look at that needle in the eye. So when you need to stand down is when the others doesn't play fair, or that it's a battle that that you cannot win. With the Ace of Wands, that's that fiery, passionate, aggressive energy for this placement. When do I need to stand down? When it starts coming to the point where needle in the eye. When people are really starting to, when you see that it's them trying, like the Five of Swords, trying to pull you into something that you have no business being in. But yeah, watch it. And again, too, people used to say, stick stones, needle in the eye, those kinds of comments. Yeah, those are the ones to avoid, my dear, especially the ones who are aggressive about it and that don't play fair. The Hush Tarot is quite something. It sure is. And getting sick of the Ace of Wands. Well, Tom, your underlying energy is the moon, okay? So everything that's going on is the moon card. So this is about, again, facing, like this is where we call our warrior up, girls and gentlemen and gents. This is where we call it the inner warrior that's within us, to be able to walk into that darkness, into those shadows. Know that there is magic in there to be found. There is a sense of death and rebirth to be found, and not being afraid of opening our eyes and seeing into those shadows. Allowing that divine feminine moon. The crow delivers. This is crow raven in this deck. I believe this is, it's the pointy feather, so it's the crow. So, the crows are those messengers of the other side. And so not being afraid of what lies within, and having that spirit, my dear. Bye, Jane. Thanks for being here. It was nice to see you. Stay safe and stay warm, my dear. And so your card, Jax, this is very interesting, is you got Venus. Beauty transcends the confines of aesthetics. It resides in the authenticity of our souls. So I like how that goes with that authenticity. Where do I need to make a stand? When you're clear and concise, and you will know when it's time to. That's when you're in touch with your authenticity. And when to stand down, that needle in the So this is standing in our place of, like, I am not going to be drawn into this. I'm going to stand firm. I know my boundaries. I know my limits, and I understand my power, where it comes from, and I'm not going to give that away. Bye, Beth. Thanks for popping in, my dear. And let's see what we got for Venus. I'm your Venus. I'm your fire. Yeah, that fire. There's the wands again with the fire, too. I wish you would have put these in alphabetical order, or at least mark the cards. Venus, where are you? At the very end, of course. So let's see how this can also, the glamorous illusion. I like that. So we're looking at it from a shadow perspective. Glamorous illusion. So when I need to stand down, that glamorous illusion, you're going to know that if you get involved, that needle in the eye comes out and you're being drawn and sucked into an illusion. That's why you are going to know when you need to stand up when you have that Ace of Swords, because you're going to be in touch with that. That is going to be clear as can be. Yes, we know about her allure and her power over the gods and mortals. But what is beauty when all it attracts is shallow attachments and superficial obsession? Through challenges and trials, Venus experienced her fair share of heartache, jealousy, and conflicts, highlighting the complexities and vulnerabilities that come with the matters of the heart and beauty. So Venus warns against using beauty or charm manipulatively or selfishly, cautioning against seeking validation solely through the external means for the sake of superficial desires. Girl, that's sending off all sorts of bells and whistles with that Ace of Wands. You know. Bye, Tom. Thanks for popping in too. Good to see you. So this is again all bells and whistles for this, not being drawn into this. Charm, manipulation, selfish, cautioning. Let's see. Remember that true love and beauty come from a place of authenticity, respect, and emotional depth. So there we go. That's what you got, girl. I just love that. That's a mangled unicorn. That thing's coming apart and even has no back, torso, or legs. So I love that. I gotta send you a picture of that. I think that's freaking awesome that you got that card. I don't think I ever pulled a card for you from this deck. Everyone's going. Okay, bye, Shelby. All righty. So I'm going to take a sip. And I'm wondering, looking up, and Gypsy's here. Hey, Gypsy, what's going on, girl? Let's see. If you don't like my boundaries, fuck off. Simple as that. All righty. So I am still open for readings. I still have some time. I have to advocate for myself this week. It's my blind spot. I can advocate for others, but for me, it's harder somehow. And that's when that Ace of Swords comes in, because you alone understand what, your clarity. And if there isn't any, then you know that Ace of Swords is coming in and you can grab that and you can claim that. Just jump on your unicorn and get pointy with it. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's going to come very clear. I think it does become clear for us when we learn how to establish our authenticity, our boundaries, so that when we get into those situations where it's like, do I stand up on this one or do I stand down? That we can always revert to our inner cores, our higher selves. So, all right, Dee. Whoops, you're not Hannah. There she is. Okay. So, all right, where does Hannah need to make a stand? Where does she need to make a stand? Where do I need to make a stand? Okay, where does Hannah need to stand down? And underlying energy. Okay, I'm being drawn to the other goddess deck. And I'm still working on that. Thank you, my dear. And I got my beautiful Raven Crow wing in the mail last night. So my connection with the Morgan. So, and it's obsidian. I absolutely love it. So I thought they would pair lovely today. They would pair well. And thanks for getting me through my rough spot this morning, Jax. I appreciate that. All righty, let's see. Hannah, where do I need to make a stand? You got the 7 of Wands. And I was just saying boundaries. So where do I need to make a stand when your boundaries are not being heard? People are crossing them. And it's also a good acknowledgement to make sure that you know how far out your boundaries extend, not just for others, but for yourself. Because when you understand your boundaries, you will be able to direct them wherever they need be and how far out they need to be. And again, too, defending oneself, standing your ground, staying in your authenticity. I'm going to look at really quick here at the other card because I know this is going to go really well with this one. When do I need to stand down? So, okay, so it feels like, right, what I got is, wait a minute, so you got the 6 of Cups, nostalgia. So at some point, what I'm seeing here with the cards is that someone is going to start throwing down things from the past. This is the nostalgia card. Usually it's a feel-good card where, good memories and stuff. And yeah, but here next to this card about boundaries and standing up for oneself and their beliefs and whatever else. I mean, when we stand up for ourselves, it's for our body, it's for our thoughts, our emotions, everything. It's the whole freaking package. So standing up for what we believe in for ourselves and standing down when people are trying to drag you into something that has to do with the past. They might try to sugarcoat it into something like, oh, remember when? And I've fallen into those in the past. So bewares. Now your underlying energy is the 2 of Pentacles. And usually the 2 of Pentacles is balancing, juggling, finances, your sense of safety, security, your health. And in this card, I absolutely love what Jeremy did. That little sparrow birdie pulled the pin out of a grenade. Okay, so underlying energy to go with those cards. Just keep yourself balanced, and if need be, pull out that little pin, but we don't want you to blow yourself up. But the point is of learning how to have balance, and doing that balancing act. And I just think this is adorable. But making sure that you've got good footing, sure footing before you pull that, in case it's still active. I'm hearing that song, Don't Break Me Down. Oh, yeah, Briss. Yeah, ELO. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I went to go start singing. I'm like, nope, my brain just shut off. And so for Hannah, your goddess card is Tanit or Tanit. I believe it's Tanit. I've looked it up before. And look at that. It's just, she's kind of like looking down from her crescent and going, yeah, no, y'all, carry down there, So let's see, because I don't know that much about her. I'm still learning some of these unique goddesses. So foster a sense of community. So your goddess card is, okay, so with that word, in the process of fostering a sense of community with your loved ones, with people in your community, your tribe, your family, close friends, relationships. Um, Again, having that sense of community. There may be those that come by and wish to, push on those boundaries of what you deem part of what is your community, if this is making sense. It's standing up for your community, it's standing up for those who are within that boundary that belong in your circle, and standing up for community in your community. And yeah, not letting the 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 emotional, I'm getting emotional mudslinging came to my mind. Um, so standing firm within what you provide as what you provide to your local community. So I'm going to read what the book says here. So the Phoenician goddess of love, fertility, and protection calls you to honor the interconnectedness of all life, aim for the unity and care. Let her guidance inspire you to foster a sense of belonging and community, recognizing that in supporting one another, we create a harmonious and loving world, which is what we were talking about in the beginning. So she comes along. So when you have those moments where you feel that those are being tested and you feel like that mud is going to start slaining, making sure that you can call her and help, asking her to help you strengthen those boundaries, stand tall in your beliefs, and those that protecting yourself and those and the ones that you love. So that's what I have for you, my dear. And I know it's late over in Germany, so thank you, my dear, for hanging out. Um, ELO. Let's see. Blue Sky is your favorite. My brother was a big ELO fan. Don't bring me down. Briss. Yeah, I mean, it goes Briss. Let's see. Okay, that's back where Tom deserted me and he jumped ship. I'm just playing with him. The top. Let's see. Gypsy says, okay, sounds like these readings are powerful today, Heather. I was watching over on FB and I came here so I could tell. Oh, my goodness. Girl. Yes, isn't that beautiful? And the town, because of the Crows and Ravens, they're one of their main teams here is the Ravens. So what a coinky dink. And the Crows and Ravens and all the Blackbirds and stuff are all associated with the Morgan, or Marigna, as she's also called back in Ireland. Of course, Gypsy. I'm going to take a sip. It is not something good, that Six of Cups. In typical decks, they show it as loving, but in this deck and with that card, it just looks like that it's emotional. Much, people are going to be drudging things up, going, oh, remember when, and then yeah, ELO. Let's see. Reminds me of when in Scotland in the 70s. Oh, I hope I get to visit Scotland someday. That is beautiful. Well, if you're feeling that you should, then ask the universe to guide you to the right deck for you. Yeah. But I see, and I can see you standing up, even if it's for something small, for people in the community, standing up for, defending somebody, saying, listen, now that's rumor. You know what I mean? It's like you have that sense of where where your boundaries are, and where, if people try to cross, whether to, to get to, you're like, So, all righty. So, Gypsy, let's see what we got here. I'm going to pull from the Obsidian Veil first. Jeez. Ooh. She's never come up in a reading before. La Llorona. Oof. She's got a story. Okay, so let's pull. Where does Gypsy need to make a stand? Interesting, we get a night card. Where does Gypsy need to stand down? So, Gypsy, Knight of Swords. Check that out. Where do I need to make a stand? Well, it looks like you and an army are getting ready to need to make a stand. So right now, this card is, rushing forward, ready for battle, moving in swift. So it feels like right now there is something that you are being called to action, but also with the Knight of Swords comes the reminder that once something is said, done, it can't be taken back or can't be undone. So where do I need to make a stand is when it's a righteous time to take a stand. Righteous. But it feels like calling, you got a whole army here with you. You got your helmet on, you got your spear, you're ready for battle. So I don't know if there's something currently right now that you are getting geared up for to do battle with. And this is, again, the swords. This is about with communicating, some sort of action taking. This could also represent legal. I'm not a lawyer, but the swords can represent legal, government, any sort of communication, thought, speech. It's a swift acting. So making sure that when you're called to action, that you're ready for it. And this is here is when do I need to make a stand? When it's the time to. This almost feels like this is the go ahead card, but just the reminder of, making sure that things are clear, things are clearly communicated, and what needs to be said, know what needs to be said when it needs to be said, what to be said. Yeah. So looks like you got your armor on, gearing up for something. Now when do I need to stand down? You will need to stand down, girl, when you have, wait a minute, what is this? Because he writes differently on here. So we have the wait a minute. Jeremy, I haven't used your card in a while. Okay, that's what I thought. 6 of Wands. So because the traditional imagery is not the same here, so I had to kind of stop and think. So when do you need to step down is when you win. So this is the success card. This is winning. This is your achievement. This is your success. You won your battle. So for me, what this is saying is when to stand down is when you are successful. Is to me, it's like not dragging things out, not going back for more, but when you achieve your success and your victory, that's when it's okay, time for you to stand down. Okay. Your underlying energy is the 3 of Cups. And I know this, sometimes I still look at these and go, Jeremy, what were you thinking? But the 3 of Cups. So this is again, a celebration. This is connecting with people that you can share your emotions with, you can celebrate with, that are emotionally available there for you or to you. And again, it just looks like more like, yeah, she's riding a goat. But yeah, this is a very sexy deck too. I wish I had his book near me. I didn't know where his book was. But the 3 of Cups does have to do with a celebration with emotional celebration, enjoyment, fulfillment with people who are, emotionally connected with you. Um, and you can take that image, girl, for all you want as well. It's too bad Tom left. You know, he's got this thing with goats. So, um, those were your tarot cards. And now let's look at your goddess card. Alorona. Oof, my goodness. So her card says, my mournful cries pierce the night as my tears consume me whole. Okay, so I'm looking at your cards, thinking about your cards. I'm looking at this one that came up. Um, so I'm going. Let's just start reading about her because she has a very dark history. She's kind of like a myth and urban legend as well, but let's see what we have here. So, Sorrow's Embrace. La Llorona, often referred to as the Weeping Woman, is a haunting and tragic figure deeply rooted in Mexican folklore. Her story revolves around a grieving mother who, in a fit of anguish and despair, drowns her own children. Overwhelmed by remorse and condemned to wander the earth, she is said to roam the rivers and shores, perpetually searching for her lost children and weeping inconsolably. La Llorona's story serves as a cautionary tale, warning of the destructive power of grief, guilt, and unresolved emotions. It speaks to the consequences of unaddressed pain and the anguish that can consume one's soul. Let me continue here. There may be hidden emotions or suppressed memories that require your attention. Oops, I hit my. There we go. It calls for an honest exploration of your inner landscape and a willingness to face the shadows within. La Llorona urges you to confront your fears, acknowledge your past mistakes or regrets, and allow yourself to grieve what has been lost. Running away from pain only perpetuates suffering. Healing requires acknowledging and releasing these deep seated emotions that may be haunting you. Heal, forgive, and step into the light of your own acceptance. So I'm wondering if her energy is reflecting the battle. Because now I'm thinking about the battle, the victory. So the battle is possibly, and I'm just going to go with this and you can share if you want in chat. But when I was talking about, communication, legal battles, I'm wondering if this has to do with connecting to a actual altercation in communication, possibly physical. I don't know, but this about any sort of rushing into battle, rushing in with words, and then having that victory card. It's like what I'm seeing is I'm feeling like I'm feeling more internal, Gypsy, because you went head in, you dealt with whatever it is that you had to battle, you won, you were successful, and then like the water here in the card, you had the cups card where you were able to celebrate. So I'm wondering if this is what's connecting with you, is that you went into this, you went in with, you went to or embodied this energy of weeping, repression, allowing emotions to come up, whereas you were able to battle with them, start winning over them, and then being able to celebrate emotionally again with yourself and with others. Yeah, that's where I'm just going to end with that. Yeah, it makes me think of that song by PJ Harvey, Big Fish, Little Fish Swimming in the Water, Come Back Here and Bring Me My Daughter. Yeah, it's a sad, scary story. I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'll just throw Jax under the bus. She brings that kind of energy. No, wait a minute, Irene. Speaking of bedroom and toys and flirting and stuff, did you ever reconnect with that guy that you were telling us about last week, Miss Flirty? You. Um, Damn my eyes. Let's see. So Nancy left. So I guess it's too late. Bye, Nancy. Nancy says, I love ELO. Oh, wow. What did I mix? A night card. Yep. Oh, I have to go way up. So my friend Helena, the Swedish, we both worked for slumber parties, but we didn't make it. She had to go back to Sweden because their social safety net actually works. Ooh. Oh my goodness. Yes, you got it. Night. So does the night card ring the bell? So for me, looking at the last card, looking at her history, I'm feeling that this might have been, it might have actually been a battle you had to go into to communicate. It might have been with somebody emotionally, and when you come out of it, there was a success, there was a victory of some kind, and then just being able to emotionally celebrate with oneself, with them. Based in Louisiana, the slumber parties. Alrighty. I was not a salesperson either, but you had fun. That's awesome. Oh, yeah. I went to one of those parties. Not your slumber parties, but oh my goodness. Who had I don't know what you were trying to, I don't even know if I want to know what you're trying to say there. Alrighty, so no comment from Gypsy. Okay. Well, it is 3:33 mine time. So everybody, goddess numbers on my end. Oh boy, been too snowy to go out. Don't feel victory. Really? Maybe a small victory, and yet this might be something that's where maybe standing come down. Maybe the point is not to win, like the Five of Swords. Maybe it's not, yeah. Maybe it doesn't feel like a victory. Maybe there wasn't a sense of being victorious. But the underlying energy is that, Three of Cups is that a sense of celebration or a sense of, I don't know, girl. Interesting cards today. And what is coming up? I may do, me, I like doing my little pop-ups here and there, but Friday is going to be light painting with myself, textile art and sewing with Gerald, and Jonathan's going to be working, I think, on a mask for an event that's coming up. So it's going to be a smattering of all different types of art crafts. And again, come join us, hang out, bring your own supplies wherever you are that you like to do. And yeah, we can chat and chill, as I like to call it. So I got busy, a little bit of a busy schedule this week. So we'll see where I have time. Smattering. It's a smattering. So let's see. Oh, you had to drive to Toronto and back today? Fatima said they had a lot of snow. Cars were being buried. So, but yeah, it's just basically a typical Western New Yorker East Coast winter, right? So everybody, thank you again for hanging out. To those who had to go, those who hung on and made it through the readings. And so I appreciate every single one of you. And again, make sure if you can remember to hit that like button and share that sassy or share that smack, but in a very sassy way. And leave a sassy comment after if possible, or a smattering comment afterwards. That would be awesome. And gain some new people here and there. So, alrighty, everybody, thank you again. Have a safe rest of your night and the rest of the week. Don't push your limits. You know what weather's like, and there's no need to really go out. I would just hang back and chill and curl up with the fur babies, good book, hot cup of cocoa or something, and yeah, just spread it on. Spread that goodness, spread that joy. Or I was going to say, no, I'm just going to end it there. Thank you again, everybody. Have a good rest of your night, day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.